This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Joining us today is Francis Bellido, the President and CEO of Quantum EMotion, listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange with the ticker QNC, and also listed on the OTCQB and the Frankfurt market. Now, the company is developing the next generation of cryptographic solutions based on quantum random number generator. So it sounds very exciting. Francis, welcome to Stockbox. Could I first ask you to introduce the company and really what you're all about?
Absolutely. Hello. So good morning or good day, everybody. So yes, so the company, as you said, the Quantum Encryption is a spin-off of the University of Sherbrooke. It's a small town, close to the border in Quebec, Canada. When I say border, of course, it's the border with the U.S. And the company was formed around the discovery of a world-renowned professor of quantum mechanics, Professor Bertrand Relais, who specialized in quantum noise. And what he did actually, based on his work, he thought that he could create a very simple, a very efficient, quantum numbers generator. And obviously, what is a quantum number generator? In fact, and this is what's very interesting, is that it's a hardware solution that we consider, of course, generally as a very disruptive technology, because it could be actually a solution for the most, I would say, dangerous attacks, from criminals in the cyberspace. As you know, it's a problem that, almost every day you hear about the big issues, in cybersecurity. So, how does it work? In fact, the reason why it's very important is that at the core of actually security over the internet, you understand that everything that any communication that goes over the internet needs to be encrypted. The problem is that the quality of that encryption depends on a very particularly, I would say, phenomenon called the usage of random numbers. And the quality of the random number that you're going to use actually is going to define the quality of the encryption. Today, unfortunately, most of the random numbers that are used actually to seed these encryption keys are generated themselves by other algorithms. So when you have actually an algorithm generating a random number, you realize very rapidly, without being a PhD in physics, that, well, it's not really random, because any algorithm is a little bit deterministic in itself. So the key, actually, if you really want to have an encryption system that is absolutely not crackable, meaning that it cannot be predicted or you cannot see a pattern, in the encryption, is somebody observing, in fact, the process, of communication between two parties for quite a long time, and it has the means and the sophistication to actually analyze that. So the only way you can prevent actually these, the ability of cyber criminals to get in to guess, what it would be the encryption that you're using, is to use pure random numbers. And this is the key, in fact, with our technology, because the only source in nature of randomness, it's actually quantum physics. Nothing in our world, that the world we live, what's called quantum, it's called classic physics or Newtonian physics. Actually, we live in a world where everything, physically is deterministic. So that's the reason why we can send somebody on the moon, for example, because we know the equations, we know what's going to happen to, in a rocket, that we send it. And, and in fact, everything is deterministic. Every physical phenomenon is deterministic. So the only way you can actually rely on a source of pure randomness is actually to exploit some properties of quantum mechanics. And one of them, in fact, and this is what we did, is the famous phenomenon based on the principle of Heisenberg. You probably heard it, it's a German physicist who got a Nobel Prize in 1920s because he discovered that every quantum particle, like a photon, an electron, a neutron, they have a dual nature. They can, at the same time, behave like a particle with a mass or like a wave. So, and when are they going to behave like a wave or a mass? It's actually a purely random phenomenon. Mm-hmm. So that's what our technology does, exploiting these quantum properties, in fact, to create a source of randomness that, is used after that to basically make, encryption uncrackable.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, people will maybe be familiar with quantum computing, and there's more articles around quantum computing coming out now as it's becoming a bit more available. But this isn't quantum computing, but is it based on the same principles?
Yes, there is. Yes, absolutely. The quantum computer, computing basically it tried to exploit other particularities of quantum physics, like superposition, for example, that create almost an infinity of states, a stage between 0 and 1. For example, we relied, in fact, on between right now our system, of how the core of our computers are still a binary system, 0, 1, 0, 1. In quantum computers, you can basically have an infinite state between 0 and 1, so that multiply by millions and even probably trillions at some point. The capacity of calculation of quantum computers compared to the ones actually we're using today. That means that when these computers will be mainstream, and there are discussions about people thinking it's called in 4 or 5 years, others say no, it's going to take a longer time. It's not a matter of when, if it's just a matter of when, I think the debate. But when they will be mainstream and they will be in the hands of cyber criminal, for example, they will be able to crack absolutely any key in a matter of seconds, probably. So that's, and this is I think one of the big, I would say, big concern, in the community of cybersecurity, because we need absolutely to have I would say, a weapon against this threat. And the only weapon that you can create, the only weapon that's going to be efficient against a quantum computer is going to be having a quantum solution. So this is what we're providing. In fact, if you're using actually pure randomness as the backbone of your encryption, it makes actually the computers uncrackable.
And the product that you have then, or that you're developing, it's a piece of hardware, is that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
And this has been under development for how long? Quite a few years, I understand.
Yes, it's been. There was a phase where it took a little bit of while to create it's called what we call a functional prototype. Mm-hmm. And also I think to file for IP. We have a very strong IP. We have 4 patents have been awarded in the United States, and the two major patents in Europe, and we are filing in all the key countries, around the world, of course. So yes, and now I think we have accelerated the development this year to come out with our first product. Is actually getting now is out of the oven, if I may say so. So, and we'll start next year. We'll be able to probably starting commercialization with our product after going through certification. We want to develop also our applications, and there are in many obviously almost everybody, every vertical of the industry, is going to be preoccupied by cybersecurity issues. We are actually targeting the industries that are high consumers, I would say, of encryption. One, for example, who is very, attractive for us is blockchain. People may not realize that blockchain is actually, heavily, using encryption at all the different stages actually of their architecture. First of all, we need to agree that blockchain is not it's not a fad. It's not a hype. It's here to stay. And we can actually, by using our technology, we can have a huge impact actually in making the blockchain more efficient and decrease dramatically the power consumption of the blockchain architecture.
Okay, so your product can be used within the blockchain environment, but also communication, data security. Is that right? What are your target markets?
We have another application is to create actually a secure messenger that as you know if you're using an application like WhatsApp, it's great, that it's not very secure, so people have migrated to Signal or others, of these applications. A lot of our success, and they're way more secure, but still not, I would say, the perfect security. We could create actually a messenger that, quantum protected, basically becoming, your communication will be absolutely uncrackable, between you and who you decide to communicate with.
And where is the company then on its journey? Where are the current activities focused, and what's your roadmap?
The roadmap is actually we're finalizing our first product now. We need to, that first product is not only a product that we could commercialize, it's going to be also the foundation of other applications. So we need that product to develop our application. So we are actually this year, next year, in fact, we will be in a completely different momentum, where will be definitely interacting a lot with, potential strategic partners. And also, I think, developing our applications, and some are low-hanging fruit.
Okay. So you are at a fairly advanced stage, certainly with your product. You just need to finalize a few things, and then you can, as soon as next year, be looking to partner with people.
Exactly.
Okay. A final question for you, Francis. If you were to perhaps make the investment case, and perhaps if you could give 3 reasons maybe as to why investors should consider investing in Quantum. I do notice that your market cap is 18 million Canadian, so it's pretty low. So there's potential a lot of upside to be had. So could you perhaps make a bit of a case, maybe 3 reasons if you can?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, I think that cybersecurity, it's a market which is becoming, it's growing at an extremely high pace. Because it was already a problem in the past. We know that during the COVID, the cyber criminality has increased by 4 times. So it's huge, and I don't think there is no signs that it's slowing down. And the second is probably, and I would say we are here, talking about technology that have very strong IP, they're very unique. Many times when you develop just the software, in the cybersecurity, there is no real protection. I think it's a race between many different competing companies, and at the end of the day, you don't know which is definitely the one who has the best solution or not. Here we're talking about a company who has a very strong IP from its platform, and they use that actually to develop his own differentiation application based on hardware that has a strong IP. And the third, and probably the most interesting, or maybe important actually, reason why you should consider this company is that all the big players, in fact, are investing billions of dollars in developing quantum technologies. IBM, Intel, Google, they all have huge programs, regarding quantum technologies. We're the only company, that I know, at least in quantum communication, that is a public company. So if you, believe in quantum technologies and you want to jump in the wagon, we should consider a company like ours, because they are not other for, I would say, the simple investor there are there's no actually many options there, to maybe try to create value in quantum technologies at this stage.
Okay. Francis Bellido, the President and CEO of Quantum eMotion, thank you very much for your time.
It was a pleasure.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.